With us today is Brad Shamla from the Enbridge Corporation, and where he serves as Vice President of U.S. Operations and is responsible for U.S. Liquids Pipelines operations and gathering systems.
Good afternoon, everyone. Really happy to be here today to talk about responsible energy transportation. I want to start by thanking the organizers for this event. It's really great to get this group of people together to have a discussion about energy and energy transportation and the Great Lakes. And it's something that we very much appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'll speak on behalf of the industry, but also be speaking primarily on behalf of Enbridge, a company that I've been employed with for 26 years. I think it's, when you look at an event like this, a format like this, it's really good to have a discussion. Oftentimes we get into a discussion, and it's a very polarized discussion around energy or the environment. It's you have to choose, you have to pick one or the other. And what we found, we have a program called Energy for Everyone, where we go into underdeveloped countries. And we understand that a world without energy is a lot different place than what we're used to. And so the energy equation is there. We're committed to provide that, but we're also very, very committed to the environment. And I'll talk about that as I go through my presentation. Our link to the Great Lakes, to the environment, and I'll talk a little bit about my background as well. I've got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to try to get through the slides quickly.
You might have to use the arrow.
Okay, so I want to start by just talking a little bit about the Enbridge system. We currently operate in 42 states and 9 provinces and territories. The systems you see in yellow would be a part of our liquids pipeline system, and they would be moving primarily crude oil, but some natural gas liquids, and also some refined products. Our systems in gas, in blue on the map, would be natural gas systems. And you'll also notice in the top right a map of really an emerging area for us, and that's renewable energy development. We have announced 6 projects overseas, offshore Europe. One of those is offshore of England. These are all 6 are very large facilities. Total combined capacity of about 2.4 gigawatts of power. So each facility is in kind of the 400 to 500 megawatts, which are very, very large. And it's really our evolution as an energy company and our commitment to the energy future and a lower carbon footprint energy future. And that's a big growth area for us. So what do? We really exist to fuel the quality of life for millions of people. Again, life takes energy, and it's something that whether you're going to the gas station to fill up your car with gas, or a number of other areas that we'll talk about, life takes energy, and we are committed to the safe and reliable transportation of that energy. Our liquids business, about over 16,000 miles of pipelines. We deliver about 3 million barrels per day of oil and liquids. That's equivalent, if you put it into unit trains, that would equate to a number of unit trains. It would, well, let's talk about trucks first. From a truck perspective, it would take about 5,000 trucks to move 1 million barrels a day. So for the 3 million barrels a day that we deliver, it'd be about 15,000 trucks on a highway. That would be going one direction. With trucks, you have to turn around and go back. Unit trains, it would be about 50 unit trains required to move that type of production. And so a very significant amount. Natural gas, we've got nearly 35,000 miles of active pipelines. We move about 15 to 20% of all North American natural gas needs through our systems. I've already mentioned our renewables area. We're currently involved with 23 renewable projects and a total combined production of about 2,800 megawatts. And so the projects that I talked about on the previous map will double our investment, and we're currently invested to the tune of about $5 billion. And then finally, on the gas distribution side, we have about 3.5 million customers. And we service and provide natural gas to about 500 communities. And we've been in business on the natural gas side and the distribution side since 1848. So looking at why we're here, we're talking really about the Midwest. We're talking about the 8-state Great Lakes region. And it's a very important area from an energy supply perspective. We provide about 70% of the oil that's refined in the refineries in the Great Lakes region. You saw that on the map earlier, the different size circles denoting that. And I think when you think about those products coming into the market, you think about it as oil, but I think when you really think about the end product, we're really talking about gasoline for vehicles. We're talking about home heating. And so whether it's natural gas or propane, we're talking about diesel for agriculture. And jet fuel for the airports to make sure that they continue to run. Those are the conventional things. You also talk about roads and infrastructure. You look at the massive road infrastructure that we have out there, paved roads. You look at manufacturing, computer, cell phone, things that we take for granted, we hold in our hand, all are made from petroleum products and very important, medical, and in several aspects. And so it's very important when we look at the energy supply, is where is it being consumed? On the liquid side, I'll talk about a commodity that we're all familiar with, that's gasoline. So we go to the pump, we fill up our vehicle fuel. In the US, we consume about 3.4 billion barrels of gasoline every year. And that equates to about 9 million barrels per day. When you look at the states and prioritize or list them in order of the highest consumers, what you'll find is that it starts out with some of the bigger states, so in population centers, Texas, Florida. But on the liquid side, from again, a gasoline consumption perspective, New York State is number 3, Illinois number 4, Pennsylvania number 5, Michigan number 6, and Indiana number 10 on the list of consumers of gasoline. And so 5 of the top 10 from a gasoline consumption are Great Lakes region states. On the natural gas side, very similar. You've got 5 of the top 11, with New York at 4, Illinois at 5, Ohio at 6, Pennsylvania at 8, and Indiana at 11. So a lot of the product that moves into the region does get used there, and there is some that goes beyond and is transported through. We talked about that earlier today. So I want to talk a little bit now about how we do our business. But I think it's very important when we talk about energy and the environment. What are the things that we're doing to reduce our risk and to really make sure that what we do is sustainable? We've been in this business for the long haul. We started back in 1950. Our original pipeline ran to Superior, Wisconsin. The vision was we'd put it onto the Great Lakes. We'd move it in tankers, and that's exactly what happened. We built it in about 1950. Our first pipeline went into service. By 1953, we were already building Line 5 through Wisconsin and Michigan, because we knew that the volume and the method to move that kind of volume was going to take pipelines. And pipelines are the safest means of transportation. And it's something that literally billions of barrels are moved through the system safely. And it's something that we're very committed to ensure that continues. When you look at our organization, we're here as well. We're a part of the communities. About 4,000 of our 16,000 employees live in the 8-state Great Lake region. I'm included in that. I was born and raised in Minnesota. I went to the University of Minnesota. I grew up on the lake and really had a passion for fishing, had a passion for the environment and the outdoors. So it took me to the University of Minnesota, a degree in civil engineering with an emphasis in water resource and environmental engineering. My first job was with the Minnesota DNR, and it was an internship. I interned with them for 3 years. It was a tremendous opportunity. And I went on to Lakehead, or now Enbridge, and it's ingrained in our culture, the outdoor way of life, and we're very, very committed to ensure that we continue to preserve that. So I've got a lot of ground to cover and not a lot of time, so I'm going to pick up the pace a bit. Really, when you look at how we operate our systems, we really rely on our values. We talk about our values every day. Integrity, safety, and respect. Integrity in the form of taking accountability. And it's something that you'll see us do time and time again, whether it's in our daily operation or in response. Safety is our #1 priority. We've spent about $5 billion over the last 5 years. That is really second to no one in the industry when it comes to integrity programs and safety programs that we're doing in our system. 2016 alone, $750 million spent on integrity programs, about 335 emergency response exercises. So we are very committed to how we operate our system. Keeping our system safe. Prevention is #1. But we will be prepared to respond, and that's why we put as much time and energy as we do into our emergency response. Really, our goal is industry leadership. We don't just want to meet standards. We want to lead the industry in things like leak detection, integrity management, occupational safety, and all aspects, and in incident response. We work very closely with the Coast Guard. I had an opportunity last fall to spend 2 weeks in Yorktown, Virginia, in an advanced ICS course put on by the Coast Guard. And I really appreciate having that opportunity and the invitation to do that, to help us advance our skills and abilities and the cooperation of working between agencies when we do get together. Primarily in exercises, hopefully, but if we have to in the real world, we'll be ready to do that. Our focus within the organization is multi-level. It really starts at the bottom with programs in each area, safety, integrity, making sure we're doing the right thing. And then as you build up, it's enterprise-wide efforts and cross-business units. So we're making sure we're communicating across areas. All the way up to an operations integrity committee that's chaired by our CEO. He wants to know how we're doing and how I'm doing with U.S. operations. And also the board has a safety and reliability committee to make sure they're focused on what we're doing as an organization, how we're running our business. This is often referred to as a Swiss cheese model, but you look at all the different layers of protection that get built in to having a safe system. It really starts with the safe design and all the things that go into prevention, and it ends with response and making sure we're prepared to respond to incidents as they occur. Again, safety is in everything we do, right from the day the system gets built to how we operate it, the cathodic protection systems, our internal inspection, which that technology is advancing to medical grade analysis of steel and pipelines in the ground, which allows us to respond. We're doing regular aerial patrols. We, on a 2-week basis, more than 2 weeks, we'll be out there flying our pipelines, making sure that they're safe. And we're watching things through our control center very, very closely. And when we look at our control center operations, there's really 2 components. We have 24/7 operations, but we don't stop there. We really build in, again, another layer of protection through computational analysis. So the oil in and the oil out, we're doing a balance. And even if the operator isn't detecting anything wrong, if that balance isn't working, the system shuts down. I want to talk a little bit about Line 5 at the Straits. It's gotten a lot of attention. It's something that we're spending a lot of time. As we speak here today, we're actually doing a hydrostatic testing of that system. And we're going back and taking the oil out of the system and putting water into the system and pressuring it back up to the level, the same pressures that it was designed at back in the early 1950s. It's very well designed, seamless pipe, split into 2 pipelines, really for a couple of reasons. One, smaller diameter is more rigid, and 2 is that you split the flow into 2. Another area in the design is where the pump station itself is located. It would be on the southern part of or the lower part of the picture. It's really designed such that the pressure across the Straits is the very lowest pressure that pipeline system will ever see. We're working very closely also on advancing technologies to help us reduce our risk. And there are a couple of projects that we're working very closely with Michigan Tech University on. One is our autonomous underwater vehicle, AUV. really to go out and inspect our pipeline crossing on a regular basis. And it's our eyes on the pipe and allows us to see what's going on the outside of the pipe. We're also working on real-time environmental monitoring by sponsoring a buoy out in the straits to better understand the straits, the currents, and all the things that are going on. And we're doing things like installing anchors, mechanical anchors to further improve the system. When I talked about pressure testing, I think it's very important to know that it's tested to a very high level, and it's operated in our case, about 1,200 psi, max operating of 600, and we operated very low in the range down in kind of the 50 to 200 psi range. And we're also investing heavily in the area at the Straits. We added a crew there in 2015 to enhance our emergency response. We did a full-scale exercise in 2016 with Coast Guard, EPA, local responders. We brought all the equipment out, did a full-scale type exercise, and we envision doing more of that. And we're investing in equipment, open water equipment that you see in the Gulf Coast that you don't see on the Great Lakes, and we're investing in that, and we'll have it right at the Great Lakes, ready to use. And really, just to wrap up, it's really, pipelines provide a vital link to Great Lakes energy supply. Life takes energy, and pipelines are the safest means to transport that energy. We're very committed to the environment and protecting the environment and operating our systems very safely. And it's really not about choosing between energy or the environment, but really finding a way to provide that energy and have the environmental protection that we all want to see. So with that, I'm going to wrap up, and I'll turn it over to the next speaker, and I look forward to the questions and answers coming up later. Thank you.